Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Brian Blask. I'm the sales manager here at ChiroTouch. Welcome to today's webinar on mastering capacity management, optimizing daily efficiency with our very special guest, Dr. CJ Mertz. He's an experienced entrepreneur and business development professional focused on startup companies in the healthcare and customer service sectors. Dr. Mertz is the president and CEO of CJ3 Consulting, a business development company with a core clientele of chiropractors and integrated healthcare wellness providers. So, without further ado, Dr. Mertz, how are you, sir? Thanks for joining us.
Very well, Brian. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today in this amazing training. I want you to know that this information I'm about to share with you absolutely transformed my practice. And now, some 30 years later, having had the blessing of coaching over 16,000 chiropractic teams in 20 countries, speaking 12 different languages, I'm telling you that many more chiropractic teams have experienced what I have experienced. I want you to kind of see a formula that's going to happen over this next 20 minutes or so that I have to share with you. Your effectiveness times efficiency equals explosiveness. And that is in terms of the number of visits per week that you can grow your practice to the revenue that you collect per month. And I'm not just talking about, a 5% or 10% bump. I'm talking about a doubling or tripling of your practice. And even though this will be simple, the training will be profound. I want to start by talking about 5 time-based strategies or challenges, I should say, that when I poll chiropractors, these are the top 5 that come up all the time. And they are, I find myself running behind Coach CJ on a regular basis, like throughout a shift, throughout a day, throughout a week. This is kind of a common reoccurrence. I find myself running behind. I feel like I don't have time to get everything done. These are the exact words that I hear from hundreds of chiropractors every single month. And maybe this is true for you. I often get behind in getting all my internal and external marketing campaigns operational. So I find myself in these dips where I don't have new patients because I really haven't had the chance to put my focus on it. I really haven't had the chance to be organized and consistent with it. One of the top 5 challenges. Due to stress and being overwhelmed, I don't really track or study my statistics as I should. And so I'm not really clear about just every little piece of my business as well as I should. And of course, the last one is I just don't have the time to train with my team, as often and as diligently as I would want and as I should. And if any of those are ringing true for you, this will be an incredible training for you. It may be time to simply just erase your chalkboard and reinvent how you do what you do. I can't tell you in my career the half a dozen times, if not more, that I've simply just sort of erased it all down, which is scary as heck, and then just go, if I could start my practice over again, knowing what I know and what I've just learned, what would it look like now? And to be able to have that vision and that courage to do that, which I believe is going to happen today. I'm giving you the chalk and I'm giving you the board. You're going to see some amazing things happen. For most chiropractors today, there's a working premise, and you might want to write down, if you're taking notes today, meta program, right? That's an overarching paradigm. It's sort of a way of thinking, whether you know it or not. And the majority of chiropractors that I've had the blessing to talk with and to consult with, this is the meta program that I wind up seeing them in. It's called More is More. Now, you're not sure if you're in that or not. Let's actually take a peek. Rather than being able to finish a few minutes early with new patients, these doctors, they tend to run a few minutes over. Rather than working to finish a few minutes early in a report of findings, they tend to run a few minutes over in that report. And the same thing is that rather than practicing to finish a minute or two early in that adjusting area, we tend to run over a couple of minutes. Just stop there for a moment. And if anything I have said to you is true, right? If you can just go, wow, coach, it's like you're just talking to me right now. I've got some great great news for you today. But you've got to be able to grasp it, and you've got to decide, I'm going to do something with it. So what's the correct meta program? Clearly, the one I was just talking about was more is more, and that makes me run behind. That makes me feel like I don't have enough time to get everything done, and all the challenges that I had said at the top. Yeah, you probably guessed it already. The most powerful meta program in chiropractic is less is more. And if you give me just a couple of minutes, I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to actually give you some tools to use to get this right. Let's go outside of chiropractic for just a moment to see how this really works in the real world, other places. The question is, how long does an orthopedist take on day one to examine, for example, a torn meniscus, which is a very serious injury? How long do you think an orthopedist is in the room actually doing that examination? And then when the patient comes back after an MRI has been done, after the examination, how long does an orthopedist take on reporting his findings and his recommendations? And I think you already get a feel for this. The crazy news is that costs $15,000 to have that procedure done, and insurance doesn't pay for all of that, not even close to all of that. So there's a real investment on behalf of that patient. But when you actually think about, well, what was the actual elapsed time that the doctor even needed to spend in what was a caring, complete, successful procedure, a caring, complete, successful communication, it's so wildly different than what chiropractors are experiencing today. Here's breaking news for you. If you don't determine the time each of your services takes, I promise you, your patients will determine that time every time. And that's where you wind up finding, gosh, I just feel like I'm behind. I just feel like I, don't have time to get everything done. If you do not determine the time, I want you to write that down. It's all top down. This is all leadership training today, as are most of the webinars that you'll ever experience with me. This was a massive breakthrough for me. My practice was stuck at 100 patient visits a week, and I just seemed like no matter what I did, I couldn't get out of my own way. And 5 mentors, I look back and I know God sent them in the exact order that I needed them. Do you understand that a practice that was stuck and struggling at 100 a week was serving 100 people a day 6 months later? And 8 months after that, 100 patients in the morning and another 100 patients in the afternoon. And what's even more amazing is I wasn't behind and I was getting everything done. And so I want you to see why and how that happened. When your timing is right and you're using the right technology, which you'll hear and you'll see in just a couple minutes, you can confidently schedule patients about every 2 minutes and never feel behind. Now, that is not how I felt when I was stuck at 100 visits a week, because I didn't know what I'm about to tell you. But when I learned what I'm about to tell you and what you're about to hear in the next few minutes, it was as if the lid came off my practice. And that's what I'm hoping and praying for you today, is that you're literally seeing a lid come off your practice. I have invited Dr. Brian to come back and to give you a 2-minute practical look at what I'm referring to in terms of the technology used to get this breakthrough done. Brian, come on back and actually share that with us if you would.
All right, so what he's talking about is maximizing efficiency and being able to schedule patients efficiently and be able to work through your day efficiently. And that's what we're going to go through real quickly in just about 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of this webinar will be based on ChiroTouch. If you are a practitioner that's seen ChiroTouch previously, this is our new web-based product. This is the web-based version of ChiroTouch. So it might look a little different if you're a current ChiroTouch user. Now, this is all web-based. So I just went to my browser and brought up ChiroTouch, and I can see on the scheduler here, I've got all these people booked up here, so I can cluster book. I can get this just humming in my practice based on whatever I need and how I want to do things, based on color coding, purpose of visits, blocking off certain times, or just being able to put in as many patients as I need throughout my day. And I can do that right here on the right-hand side by just clicking Add a New Appointment. And I've got slide out technology to choose my patients and then be able to book them for a certain room. I can book them by provider. I can do one-time appointment or recurring series of appointments. So if I'm going to see people multiple times in a week. So that's very quickly and easily how you can schedule. Now I could also see this on my phone because this is all web-based. I can do this at home. I can do it on an iPad, a tablet. Does not matter.
Love it.
Now, when it comes to the actual documentation, what's going to happen is as a provider, I can have that patient check in right there at the front desk, or I can manually check them in. I know efficiency means self-check-in, so that's great. Patient checks in on their own. Me as the provider, I live on one screen. This is, in my opinion, why ChiroTouch is as popular as it is because I can manage everything I need as a provider right here in front of me. I'll have any quick alerts I might have, but I've got my whole management of this patient on one screen. You can kind of tab into these different panels here if you want to, but for me, what I want to do is I want to jump right into documentation. So I go right into my chart notes, and when you get ChiroTouch, you'll notice that these macros come with it. These buttons here are what drops the text into the note, but I want to be very efficient. So I go to the SOAP tab at the top, and I'll be able to look and see exactly what happened last visit. Then I can just use my blue hyperlinks and update it for today. So I'm being fast, but I'm also being compliant, because what I can do is I can hit the part guidelines automatically here to make sure that I'm hitting the guidelines I need to for not only personal injury, Medicare, etc. And I can quickly and easily just update my listings for today. Make sure nothing else changed in terms of my assessment, my functional goals, my diagnoses. If I added a different therapy, for instance, I know we'll talk therapies later, but if I wanted to add something in there, maybe I want to add in a certain therapy, I can use the macros to do that. Maybe I'll add in ultrasound. And so then with a couple quick clicks, I've updated my notes for today. And it drops everything right in for me. I don't have to type anything. I don't have to dictate. I use the preloaded macros, but I can tweak it and change it. Everyone's different. That's the beauty of ChiroTouch. I can make this say anything I want.
Fabulous.
And I'd sign and save my note. And now I just go see my next patient who's checked in, because I see on charting, it's Michelle. I go grab her chart, and now I can treat her. So that is the efficiency of ChiroTouch.
Absolutely incredible. And so I just wanted to make sure that for every one of you, you're able to see how fantastic it is to have the technology that you need in order to execute what it is that I'm talking about, right? But there's another big piece of this beyond the software. You can now see with ChiroTouch software, the right block scheduling strategy and the right service times, you can grow the practice of your dreams. I've seen this over and over and over again. But today, I want to get after some solutions that I am asked for every single day by chiropractors across the country and around the world. And they're pretty much in this order. So I hope, again, that you have a chance to take some notes here, because this is something you're going to want to share with your team. It's something you're going to want to be implementing by tomorrow, if possible. Solution number one, tell your patients how long you're going to take before you begin any procedure. If you don't hear anything else that I say today other than that, I promise you, I have blessed you 10 times over. And I couldn't believe how big this was until I realized how bad I was at it. Remember I said those top challenges, those top time challenges where, gosh, I just keep running behind. I don't feel like I have enough time to get everything done. Those are like the top two over and over again. I'm not able training my team properly. I don't have time to review my stats. These are not like every once in a while, like, no, this is kind of what's happening. How do you grow a practice when that's going on? And that's what I see in the trenches every single day. And I've talked to so many chiropractors week in and week out. Well, let's actually do some scripting. And if you want to take a screenshot, I'm happy with you doing that. I want you to, this is literally the language 5,000 chiropractors are saying today, if not twice that. And this is what it sounds like. Mrs. Jones, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm going to thank Sandy for referring you to us. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be performing a thorough consult exam, scans, and any necessary x-rays of your spine and nerve system to determine the cause of your current health conditions. Stop. Notice what happened at the top of that communication scripting. I told the patient, I'm going to be 30 minutes in this next service cycle. This happens to be with a new patient. Ask yourself, when was the last time that you beautifully, genuinely, authentically shaked the hand of a new patient. In this script, you also heard that I thanked the referring. I always start off by thanking who referred them. Even if it wasn't a someone, I noticed that you came from our social media advertising. I'm so grateful that you saw us there. And I'm going to make sure that I thank our social media team that's actually put that out for us, because that's how you got to meet us. Like, go out of your way, to really acknowledge how they heard about you. But look what's right at the top in the next 30 minutes. In the same way, take a look at this. Mrs. White, Mr. White, in the next 10 minutes, I want to carefully explain the results of your recent exams and give you my best recommendation. So notice what you're starting off your report of findings with. We're going to spend 10 minutes. When was the last time you went into report of findings and told somebody how long that process is going to take? At the very beginning of this training, I told you, if you don't actually tell people what the timing is, if you don't determine the timing, they will every single time. And of course, if we take a look at the adjusting table in your adjusting area, Mrs. Johnson, now that I know exactly where your subluxations are and what adjustments you'll need, this process, it'll only take 2 minutes to perform, and you'll have warm streams of healing energy flow throughout your whole body for hours, right on up to your next adjustment. Well, notice what you just did. Notice what you just did. You wound up actually putting a situation where your first adjustment, you notice this is a first adjustment, is that you've already told the patient how long the adjustment time is. Have you ever done that? See, if you don't determine that timing, somebody else will. The second solution then is, if you have any therapies that you apply, they should be done in somewhere else. They should never be done in the adjusting area. So you want an adjusting bay and a separate therapy area to maximize your effectiveness and efficiency. You remember that was sort of the title of this training today. Here you see a beautiful, what I have coined an adjustatorium. You see these beautiful theater seating. You might see the wobble chairs, with the ability to wobble. So people are actually doing pre-adjustment maneuver. You see just inside of that area there, that's the adjusting area, and there might be 3-4 tables. And behind the area, if you will, those chairs, is a whole open bay therapy area. So when people go into the adjusting area, they know they're just getting adjusted. That's extremely important, that they know when they get on that table, that's what happens. If you have any other therapies, they go somewhere else. Again, if that is you that I'm speaking to, and that's the first time you've heard anyone say that, game changer for sure. In addition, always adjust first so the patient knows what's important. I can't tell you how many mistakes are made when patients are coming in, getting on therapy first, and now they're already starting to feel better before they even got the adjustment, and they're not even sure what's working. I was in a practice, gosh, I've been inside of 4,500 practices in my life. I'm in practices every week, every month, as I travel around the country and around the world. I was in a practice 2 weeks ago, and what was interesting was the patient, then this is a good person, right? This isn't a bad person. It turns out to be a bad patient. And why? Was because they were taught to actually begin with the therapy first, only coming up to the CA, wondering if they needed to get adjusted today, because they happen to be feeling better and moving better from the therapy. Do you think I still need to get adjusted today? So that gives you an understanding of the number of patients who don't say that. That's what they're thinking. And the value of the adjustment is going down and down right under your nose, and you didn't know that. And why was that? Because of the fact that we were doing adjustments second. So we want to take that away. And so if that actually rings true for you, I just want you to see that. Do you know that you could change that tomorrow? You could just simply say to your patients, hey, you know what? I went to this amazing seminar, and what I realized was that if I adjust you first, I'm actually getting you in proper alignment. And then when I do that therapy, it has even that much more physiological effect. There's that even more powerful benefit for it to help you hold the adjustment that you have and get even deeper and better outcome. So you're excited about the upgrade in the thought process, and you just go ahead and adjust them first. and then you take them over to the therapy. Do you realize that in a week, you could have your whole practice adjustment first and therapy second? Why is that so important? The adjustment's got to be king. The patient's got to know that this is what is the cause of my alignment. This is the cause of removing nerve interference, the cause of allowing the power that made my body, yes, to heal my body. And the therapies, what those are there for is to kind of bake in and hold what the adjustment does. It helps the adjustments hold faster and hold longer. Notice that the therapies are all about supportive to the adjustment. But if they're done first, that'll never be the case. As you grow, delegate all the therapies to your team. So the chiropractor isn't doing the therapies. The chiropractor appears and should be the specialist, the expert that's doing only what you can do. And that's the adjustment. And they go over to an open bay therapy, and your team is so awesome in continuing that process. Your use of technology, which Dr. Brian did so fabulously, showing you today that ChiroTouch, particularly the cloud-based software, is amazing. Using your time and your space, as you saw even briefly today. I'll tell you, it's your use of your team ultimately determine your future success and prosperity. And that's what I see over and over again in my coaching program is right technology, right use of time, right use of space, and right training of team. It just causes success and prosperity every single time. Think about it. Practices who used to serve 120 a week, mine was less than that, and they're running behind. They're now serving close to, if not 100 a day, having a blast, not running behind at all for the reasons I just shared with you today, saving so many more lives and transformed their monthly revenue just like you can. So now it's your turn. Let's go, right? You can do this. If you want to get a hold of me to be able to see how I can do a practice evaluation, it's very simple. You just get a hold of Katrina, and she'll find a convenient time for us. Maybe 20, 30 minutes is all I need. We also have our next Total Skills Integration Practice Building Seminar, October 25, 26 in Austin, Texas. You can use the ChiroTouch 2024 code, and you can save $300 per ticket. Take a screenshot of that. I'd love to see you attending there with us. My web site is simply cjmertz.com. And of course, the QR code to be able to get to your demo is right there. So if you want to actually just even before we finish this training, get to that. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to hear from somebody immediately that's going to figure out what is it that you're using? How does this work? As Dr. Brian just gave you that much of what it does. And maybe a technology upgrade is the right time for you. And maybe if it's not even the right time, if you know that this is the right move, maybe it's a month or 2 months or 3 months down the road, but you'll know what it is that you want to do. I'm here to serve you however I can. I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you for taking some lunchtime to be with us today to find out more about what are the most successful chiropractors in the world. What are they saying? What are they doing? And they're having a blast, and they're no longer behind. They're getting everything done. They're training with their teams like never before. Their revenues have gone up significantly. And it was pretty simple, yet profound differences. You have to control your time, and I hope you're walking away with that. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I want to thank all of the team members of ChiroTouch who have sponsored this today. Until next time, and as always, practice with passion. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Mertz. I really appreciate your time, and thank you to all the attendees.